Hi, I'm Carlin Borisenko. In early 2020, I was the knitting Democrat who accidentally went viral on the internet for going to a Trump rally and then left the party. I became the conservative darling, was on all the shows, traveled around the country, and then realized that conservatives were no better than Democrats. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that both political tribes are two sides of the same coin. But it wasn't all bad. On my journey, I became obsessed with understanding the woke ideology and the culture war. I broke the story of the city of Seattle doing segregated training with its employees.
How bad has this stuff become? The city of Seattle has now put out, I'm not kidding you, this is according to Dr. Carolyn Borisenko, who's an organizational psychologist. The city of Seattle asked its white employees to voluntarily spend a day off in a training about their internalized racial superiority.
I broke the story that led to the first ever federal lawsuit against critical race theory in the schools. I broke the Coke Be Less White story, one of the biggest anti-woke stories of all time. It got over 30 million views. Coca-Cola's corporate headquarters even had to change their outgoing voicemail.
Throughout the past few days, you may have seen inaccurate reporting on the content of our recently launched diversity, equity, and inclusion training program.
I exposed the schools in Burlington, Vermont for grooming middle school children live on the internet. They called me an unwoke cult leader for that. And the Vermont Human Rights Commission slandered me publicly as being a hate channel. I even got called a hero in Breitbart for exposing that the Washington Post was writing a hit piece on Christopher Rufo. I have broken story after story after story about what's going on in the public schools, from Cambridge, Massachusetts, to autistic sex education, to the Department of Education in Michigan, literally training teachers all over the state how to groom children. I wrote a book called Actively Unwoke, the ultimate guide for fighting back against the woke insanity in your life. I host a podcast all about fighting back, and I'm downloading all of my knowledge to you on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. The world is a crazy place. We are literally surrounded by cults on all sides. On this show, we're going to do a deep dive into all aspects of the culture war, and I will show you the dark, dystopian underbellies on both sides. Here are the commitments I'll make to you. I will always tell you the truth. I will always bring you receipts. And if you stick with me, I promise you will see the world differently. Welcome to the cult. Please mount that like button for me and subscribe if you feel so inclined. Well, howdy, guys. Welcome to a late night stream. I warned everyone earlier that I was feeling a little saucy, a little snappy, and maybe even a little bit bitchy, if we're honest about it. And, there's no better way for me to take out my aggression on things than, well, ripping people on the internet, because that is the person I've turned into when I became a YouTuber after having a midlife crisis. Okay, maybe it wasn't a midlife crisis. It was a total accident. I never actually planned this, but I do find that there are benefits to it at times. All right. Now, Nitwits is a show. Listen, I do a lot of serious content on this channel. I have exposed to the nth degree what's going on in the schools in a very nuanced way, in a way that we're looking at primary source documents. I expose what the woke left is up to. We just watched an hour-and-a-half training of theirs earlier today. I even teach you about socialism. We watch real life socialism on this channel. We are going to be watching real life socialism at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. We're going to take a whole 3-part class in how to be the very best comrades that we can be. So I do a lot of serious content on this channel. Nitwits is not serious content. It's not. If you are expecting a stream where I'm going to behave like a fully mature adult, if you are expecting a stream where I'm going to be civil and cordial to the people I'm watching, you are probably going to be disappointed. And I'm telling you that up front because I want you to know that this is, I wouldn't actually say this is drama. I don't know that this is drama, but this is a place where I blow off some steam, where we blow off some steam. We are a work hard, play hard channel. And I don't want to hear any complaints, all right? I don't want to hear any whining. I don't want to hear any complaining. I don't want to hear, Carlin, why don't you always do drama? You only ever do drama. You never do anything else. I don't want to fucking hear it. All right. I don't want to hear it. If you don't want to watch this stream, there are what, like 5 bajillion hours of new content uploaded to YouTube every single second. I promise you that if this is not up your alley, if this is not something that you are interested in, you don't have to watch. All right? You can go watch something else. It's all right. No one's going to be offended. Come back at 6 p.m. tomorrow. We'll do socialism then, and it will be very, very serious. But Nitwits is not a serious stream. And I keep looking over here because I really tried to get Rumble going tonight. I tried to stream on Rumble, but Rumble is just not, it is not being agreeable tonight. I am sorry, Rumble. I tried to stream on you. It didn't work. It's giving me 19 errors from Sunday. I apologize. So we're just going to do YouTube tonight, guys. And you know, it is what it is. So I thought that we could do something that I've kind of wanted to do for a while, but I haven't really done it. And this seems like an opportune time to do it. So for those of you who don't know my story or didn't watch the video at the beginning of the show, I was a Democrat for 20 years. I grew up in Vermont. There was never an election that I could vote for Bernie Sanders in that I did not vote for Bernie Sanders. I never thought about leaving the Democratic Party at all. Didn't strike. I was even in 2019 leading into the 2020 elections, I was vote blue no matter who. I hated Trump. I cried when Trump got elected. I was one of those people, all right? And then social justice came and it took over my knitting community. My knitting. We'll talk about what I'm knitting in a second, don't worry. This is Nitwits after all. We have to have knitting on Nitwits. They came and they took over my knitting community and they ruined it. They destroyed it. And now both the left and the right in the knitting community are woke. Everyone is woke now in knitting. Knitting now, like I can't even interact with knitters online on either side because they all suck. Anyway, so when social justice took over my knitting community in 2020, I was like, or excuse me, in 2019, I was like, what the hell's going on? Why are these people being crazy? Why am I being told I'm a racist? All my friends who were all progressives because they all worked in higher education, they were like, Carlin, you need to go take an anti-racism workshop and deal with your inherent whiteness and apologize for being white. I swear to God, this really did happen. I really was told by my friends, by people I had known for years that were completely normal people. They were people I enjoyed spending time with. They were people that I respected. And then all of a sudden, it almost seemed like overnight, they became cyborgs. These were people I had known for like 10, 15 effing years, became cyborgs. And they were like, you need to go take an inherent racism class and confess to your white fragility. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And I even actually did. I actually did take a diversity training at one point. I was like, all right, everyone's telling me I need to do this and that I'm somehow racist if I don't do this. So fine. And I tried so hard and it just didn't work because it's all bullshit. And so I started in 2019 kind of like exploring for like, why is everyone acting insane and like a robot all of a sudden? And of course it wasn't all of a sudden. I just experienced, it's like one of those things that it starts slow. It starts so slow that you don't notice it's coming. And then all of a sudden you get hit upside the head. And so it seemed like it was fast when I was in the experience, but it wasn't. Anyway, so I left the Democratic Party. I went to a Trump rally. I did all this stuff where I was like, I basically went on like a 6-month journey of forcing myself to watch content of people that I thought I would disagree with. So I would watch like Milo Yiannopoulos. I would watch like Ben Shapiro, who I thought they were both like Satan at the time, and then I realized that they weren't. And so I didn't agree with everything they said, but I was like, well, they're not what the left is saying they are, though. Like the media's lying to me, everyone's lying to me. And my big culminating exercise was I went to a Trump rally on the eve of the New Hampshire primary in 2020 as a Democrat and not really knowing what to expect. And I wrote an article about my experience going to the Trump rally. and I posted it on Medium, not really thinking anyone except my family and my friends would ever read it. And a couple days later, it had like 3 million views. And I had no idea what was going on. And I got swept up into this whole, like, I got the MAGA love bomb. I got swept up into this whole thing. Anyway, I left the Democratic Party. I never became a conservative. I never considered myself on the right wing, but I was like, I was caught between a rock and a hard place of like, I'm not a conservative, but the Democrats are fucking insane. And so I'm caught between insanity and not good, but like not the worst thing in the world. And so I kind of rode that MAGA train for a little while, and I ended up actually coming to deeply appreciate Trump. I did vote for Trump in 2020. I will never vote for Donald Trump again. I will not vote for any Republican except for Vivek. Vivek Ramaswamy is the only one I'll vote for as of right now. I mean, I guess who knows what could happen, but like that's kind of like where I'm at. Um, I became a Republican for about 15 minutes to troll Lauren Witzke. Like, just because she was on Twitter, she was like, Carlin, you'll never be a Republican. And I was like, oh, yeah, Lauren, I can go down to town hall and fill out a piece of paper, too. So I did become a Republican, but it was seriously, I call it my one night stand with the Republican Party. It was for about 15 minutes, and it was for the express purpose of pissing off Lauren Witzke. And then I left and I became a libertarian actually. And I do actually like I consider myself to be a libertarian today, regardless of whatever bullshit's going on with the Libertarian Party of New Hampshire. That's not what makes one a libertarian. I actually consider myself to be an anarcho-capitalist because I honestly I just don't care. Just leave me alone. And I just want my property and just leave me alone. And that's all I really care about. So I've kind of been over, this is a long-winded way of saying, because I do get a little long-winded on nitwit streams. I have been all over the political spectrum, but the vast majority of my life I spent on the left. And I bring this up because when I graduated from college 20 years ago, I graduated from college 20 effing years ago. I still remember it like it was yesterday. How crazy is that? I graduated from Boston University 20 years ago, back when Boston University was still conservative, and I was pissed off that it was conservative while I was there, and now Boston University is the home of Ibram X. Kendi. So what a difference 20 years makes. And I went to work for a university. I worked in higher education for 10 years, and every single morning when I went into my job at this university, you know what I did? I turned on Air America. Because back in the day, Air America was a thing in leftist like politics, right? And this was kind of like their lefty answer to Rush Limbaugh and conservative talk radio and that sort of thing. And so they would have the Young Turks. I always hated the Young Turks. Even when I was a lefty, I hated the Young Turks. I wouldn't watch it. I wouldn't listen to it. And so that was not in my lineup. But what was in my lineup every single day, like clockwork, was Sam Seder. I loved Sam Seder. I listened to Sam Seder every single day that I could. And if I missed the show, I would go back and listen to it later. And I remember when Sam Seder started doing like these crazy live streams, and I hadn't seen anything like that before, and that was really great, and I loved that. And then Sam Seder had Mark Maron on, and I really appreciated that. And I even bought Sam Seder's book, if you can believe it. I still have it, so I think it's actually in my closet. That's like right next to me. I loved Sam Seder. And I would listen to him every day for years. I remember being so upset when he got canceled off of Air America. I didn't know what to do. I have not listened to Sam Seder in probably about 5 to 10 years, somewhere in that vicinity. I have not even listened to Sam Seder in a really, 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 really long time. And part of that was after Obama got elected in 2008, my brain shut off to politics. So it was like I just stopped listening to anyone because I wanted to focus on my career. I had a lot of stuff that I wanted to do. And so I just like I shut my brain off to politics as soon as Obama got into office, and my brain turned back on again the minute that Donald Trump won that election. I didn't see it coming at all. Between 2008 and 2016, it's basically like a black hole of politics for me. I have absolutely no idea what happened. But I haven't probably listened to Sam Seder in probably at least 10 years now that I'm thinking about it and I'm doing math. And he's still around. God love him. And I've heard rumor here and there that he is like uber progressive and uber woke. And I've seen every once in a while I'll see like a 2-second clip of Sam Seder. I'm like, no, no, I can't watch it. Don't besmirch Sam. Don't do it. And I think that tonight is the night to dig in. Tonight is the night where I'm going to watch Sam Seder and apparently his co-host Emma, who I have no idea who she is, but she I guess is on his show now. I'm going to watch Sam Seder for the very first time in any sort of like long form stream since I left the left and probably in about 10 years. So he may have been much more normal back in the day. I truly have no idea. I have no way to even conceptualize this stuff. But I think he's pretty woke now. And I think it'll be a really interesting experiment. Oh, Emma used to be on the Young Turks? Huh. Great. Great, Justin. So that's what we're going to do tonight, guys. I am going to watch Sam Seder for the first time in probably 10 years. And certainly for the first time since I left the left and, disavowed all that far left progressive bullshit. And you guys are going to do it with me because Nitwits is really a show where I'm like, if I'm going to sit here and watch YouTube just to see what's going on, I might as well do it with friends and I might as well knit while I'm doing it. And because this is a late night stream, why don't we light an incense? So everyone light a candle, light an incense. Where's my lighter? Where's my lighter? There it is. Oh. And guys, on late night stream, I don't want any bullshit, all right? I don't want any whining. I don't want any complaining. I just be chill, man. Just be chill. Oh, there it is. Just be chill, all right? Relax. It's 11 o'clock at night. We don't need to be uppity. We don't need to be all hyper. I'm way too old for that shit. Yeah, bot. No BS. Okay? Because this is Knitwits, I am going to be knitting as we're watching this. And per usual, I do want to show you what I'm working on so you have some sense of it. I'm working right now on the Speckle and Pop jacket by Stephen West. I have the whole, let me see, which side is this? This is the correct side to show you. I have the whole top part done. It's a fade. And what I'm starting to work on, so I have this part done at the top. And what I'm working on right now is this back section. And that's what we're doing tonight. You can see this this is cool. I've been wanting to make this for a while because this is actually a jacket that can be worn in many different ways. And you can see they've done some other colors. But the cool thing about this is wearing the jacket right side up. So this with this top part here that I've already gotten finished, but you can also turn it upside down and wear it like that. So it's a different kind of jacket that you can wear in different ways. Stephen West, always a character. And he likes to do clothing that can be worn in different ways, which I think is kind of neat. And so that's what I'm working on tonight, guys. And I will show you. Hang on. I will show you again. Is this the right side? So I'm doing a little bit of a fancy thing with the back in that I'm making this kind of like basket weave pattern instead of like, he just had it in columns, but I decided to make like more of like a basket weave pattern. I don't know if you guys can actually see that because I can't really see through my knitting, but I just started the back, and so that's what I'm working on right now. Oh, there we go. How much do I have to pay you to do a fresh review of the Da Vinci Code, the book or the movie? The movie sucked. I loved the book. I really loved the book. The movie sucked. Movie's bad, I think. So that's what I'm working on right now. We've already gotten that done. So that's what we're going to be doing tonight, guys. And I've picked out a couple of clips. I'm going to tell you about them in a second. But before we get into that, let me just do a little bit of shilling. If you guys like what I'm doing and you want to get some cool stuff, I do have my merch store, which is unwokeart.com, where I make all sorts of like fun, subversive, a little bit sarcastic, a little bit of like I'm trying to do a counterculture type thing with the unwoke art. And of course, I do right now have the special limited edition Trump Gets the Last Laugh. And this is going to become relevant tonight because some of the things that I want to watch are Sam Seder and his sidekick Emma commenting on Trump's CNN town hall. And so I do have some limited edition Trump merch in the store right now. And I got to tell you guys, people are loving this mug. I'm selling a lot of these mugs. This is the Golden Trump mug. And it's got a picture of Trump on it. And it says, always get the last laugh, because the wheel of fortune is always turning, and even though sometimes it looks really bad, you just got to hang in there. You got to keep a positive attitude. Trump understands how to manifest. Trump knows how to do this stuff in like almost instinctively. And so of course Trump always is going to come out on top. He might have to weather some rocky times, but he'll make it through it. And so I created this limited edition Trump design that says Trump always gets the last laugh, and I put it on a golden Trump mug because Trump loves his gold. This is a special limited edition in the Unwoke Art Store. You can even see Trump is even painted with gold on the golden Trump mug. And so that's in the store right now, but you can also get this amazing, like really high quality giclée print, which looks really, really great. If you want to hang that up and have Trump in your office, you can even get a Trump's t-shirt. Of course, you can get it in gold, but I've also got it in black. That looks pretty slick. We got it in orange because, you know, we got to honor the orange man. We got to do red for the Republican Party. And then there's just this nice kind of like poppy color that I think looks cool too. Basically like a combination of orange and red. So I guess that would be the MAGA red, if you will. But I think the black looks pretty cool, but I also just love the gold. I mean, come on, it's Trump. So you have to love the gold. And there's all sorts of other cool stuff in the Unwoke Art Store too, including the Cheshire Cat Be Different design, including the Fox Be Bourgeois design. I've got all sorts of stuff for Pork Fest. If you're coming up for that next month in New Hampshire, we got all sorts of mugs and things. You can check all that out at unwokeart.com. And of course, all the purchases does help support the work I do with my real stuff, the unwoke activism, and I really do appreciate it. And you can get some cool stuff, give it out as gifts. I mean, I love creating these things. It's just so much fun. It's a nice little break. All right, guys. So let me show you what I picked out. So basically, I have no idea exactly what to watch on this, but I thought that we could kind of go back a week and start with the reaction to Trump's town hall, because you know they're trying so hard to say that Trump didn't, you know, kick all of their asses with one arm tied behind his back. And I just kind of want to hear the cope. I want to hear how these guys are going to frame it. Now, sadly, in the show right after the town hall, this one, which only has Emma in it, and I don't know who Emma is, and I never watched Emma, so I don't want to start with that. But we do have one the following day with Sam talking about CNN Clown Hall. And so I thought we could start with this one and just watch a little bit of this one and get some of his take there. And then I don't mind watching a little bit of Emma's reaction to it to find out what she had to say. We're going to be getting the progressive perspective tonight. So understanding what the progressives are saying to each other and how they're kind of framing all this stuff, I do think will be interesting. And then if we feel like it, we can head over into some other stuff that they have. They do have some Tim Pool stuff, so maybe we can watch that. I do think I saw that they had something about Tim Pool with the Surfs, which should I watch Tim Pool with that guy from the Surfs at some point? Maybe. I kind of thought about doing it tonight, but I was in a Sam Cedar type of mood. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of clips on here we can watch as well. But I want to get started and just watch some of their full streams. And I do want to start with the one that Sam did about the Trump town hall. Does that sound good to everyone? Let me know in the chat if you're on board with this. Let me know. Mount that like button for me, per usual. And how many of you know let me do a poll in the chat. Maybe I'll even do a double header. Maybe I'll do Sam Cedar for a little while, and then around like 1 a.m. when I'm definitely sober, we'll switch over into Tim Pool with the Surfs. I'll have to make a whole new thumbnail and everything. Maybe we'll go all night. It'll be like marathon. But I do want to watch Sam Cedar first. Okay. Have you watched Sam Cedar before? Yes. No. I don't know. I just couldn't bring myself to do Tim right now. I'm in too much of a chill mood right now. I just watched some Secession. Don't ruin it for me. I'm only on episode 6. I already know the big twist in the first couple episodes, but don't ruin it for me. I'm not caught up yet, all right? But I mean, my God, Alexander Skarsgård. Anyway. Bot, I don't know what you're talking about. I would absolutely not get high on the internet. That would never, ever, 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 ever happen. Anyway, let's get this set up. And we'll watch us some Sam Cedar. And should we keep the chat up just to see what the chat says, or should we just go full on Sam? Most of you have never watched Sam Cedar before. This is going to be fun. A fun experience. Let's just do the show. Let's just do the show. We're not going into their chat or anything. Oh, people want to see the chat? All right. Well, see, now I'm confused. John says full Sam. I am live right now on the internet. All right. Let's do the chat for a little bit, and then we'll be able to see. Yeah, so we'll do the chat and just see what they have to say in that. All right, guys, mount that like button for me. Again, welcome to Nitwits. This is not a serious stream. If you are expecting me to be professional and adult, then you are going to be greatly disappointed. And do not be surprised at anything that might come out of my mouth tonight, guys. We're just having fun. We're kicking back. I don't want any drama. I don't want any bullshit. I don't want any complaining. I don't want any whining. I don't want any rule breaking. Be chill. That's all I'm asking. All right, let's get this party started. I don't like the music. What is with the music? I don't like it. How long do I have to do this for? Okay, there we go. Sam Cedar.
Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday. Tuesday, Casual Tuesday. Wednesday, Casual Hump Day. Thursday, Casual Thurs. That's what we call it. And Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report.
Casual Shabbat.
With Sam Cedar.
It is Friday, May 12th, 2023. My name is Sam Cedar. This is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA.
Of course he's in Brooklyn.
On the program today, Heather Parton, writer at Salon, or you may know her as Digby, proprietor of the Uber blog Hullabaloo. Also on the program today, Matthew Film Guy. Be here to give a suggestion
Sam, I want to hear what you have
about
to say about Trump. Come on.
film maybe to watch this weekend. Meanwhile, debt ceiling talks pause as Biden seems to tee up a cave. CNN under increasing pressure over their botched Trump promo event as the COVID emergency status ends. Title 42 rolled back. And the Biden administration rolls out a Trump-like new policy. Joe Manchin issues a threat over new EPA policy. And a Trump judge temporarily halts the government's ability to parole migrants.
All right. Here's my initial impression of the first time watching Sam Seder in like at least 10 years. He is a little low energy. Now, I'm not going to say that Sam Seder was always high energy because he wasn't always high energy. I'm just saying that Sam looks a little haggard since the last time I saw him. He looks like maybe he needs to get a little bit of sleep. He's definitely a little bit more gray, but that happens. You know, you can't blame someone for that. You know, everyone gets older. It's the way it goes. I'm a little unimpressed so far with it doesn't really even seem like he's engaged. And by the way, the theme music that he's playing, it's the same kind of like riff that he's always had on this show, like even going back in the day. It almost feels to me, it's like tuning in for like the first time in 10 years. It feels like old and tired a little bit. It's kind of like when you go into like a wedding venue or something, but that wedding venue was designed in like the 90s and it's just a little tired. It needs an update. It looks a little dated. You can tell that it was designed like previous to like the current fashion or whatever. That's kind of what it feels like right now.
Another federal judge banning gun sales to 18-year-olds as unconstitutional. I should say, saying that gun sale bans to 18-year-olds are unconstitutional. Meanwhile, Daniel Perry surrenders to police to face manslaughter charges over his killing of Jordan Neely.
Be interested to hear his
Trump to appeal, and E. Jean Carroll may actually sue again. Santos confesses to a Brazilian theft so he can focus on his American thievery. Elon Musk has found a fall gal for Twitter. And a new subpoena issued in the latest investigation of Bob Menendez. Chuck Schumer rumored to, I don't know, getting Menendez's suit pressed. All this and more on today's Majority Report. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. It is a Casual Friday. Emma is super casual. It's like her best friend's wedding or something, right?
Something like that. I don't know. I wouldn't know if to say the best friend. I don't want to make that assessment, but a good friend's wedding in Los Angeles.
Yeah, let's just say a good friend's wedding. Oh, I don't want to start some type of controversy.
In the friend group, yeah.
Yeah. But she'll be back in a couple of days. In the meantime, Heather will be here and Matthew, film guy. We will, of course, take your phone calls, I believe.
You can call into Sam Seder. I want to call into Sam Seder.
Your IMs as we progress.
IM. Wait, did he just say IMs? Is that still a thing? Did people still say that? Because I haven't said IMs since college. I would totally call into Sam Seder. I had no idea you could do this.
Been quite a week. Cover it with Digby, but in the meantime, there was a story that came out the other day that the James Comer investigation. What is this? I'm confused. Is this the government abuse of its power committee, or is this we're going to the Hunter Biden dick pic committee?
So Comer is more of the dick pic committee because he's the oversight chair, and then Jim
committee?
Jordan does the weaponization of the government subcommittee for the Judiciary Committee. But they're pretty in lockstep, you know.
We're now, we're now 6 months into, 5 months into, I guess, the congressional term of the Republicans. I mean, maybe they're trying to keep their powder dry, but they are having a very, very tough time trying to get a corruption story about Joe Biden. Remember, according to these people, that had America seen the contours of Hunter Biden's sexual organ, Donald Trump will be president now.
I did see
and
the contours.
So they've been
going
Biden's full force.
Organ.
Like, where is the laptop?
Hang on, I did accidentally see the contours of that, Sam. That's the side I can't unsee. I don't appreciate you bringing that up. That's a very traumatic experience. I was on Parler one day. This is back when Parler was a thing. I didn't mean to see that video. I didn't want to see that video, and then there it was right in front of me, and there were feet involved. And I don't like to think about that, Sam. And I don't appreciate you bringing it up.
Stuff. They have the laptop, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they say, yeah. But
why aren't they releasing all the damning stuff here?
Right. Well, it's too late now. It was supposed to be released for the.
Go find the video and watch it.
And Comer always says the media has a laptop.
Just assume it's really important.
Listen, when you are the chair of this committee and you have a blockbuster story of Biden family members making money at jobs, and Fox and Friends are the ones to put a dampen on it, you know you've got a problem. Here's James Comer yesterday morning on Fox and Friends.
I know the Republicans said that the smoking gun were these financial records that you were able to subpoena and got your hands on. They show that some of the president's relatives were paid more than $10 million from foreign sources between 2015 and 2017. And your party, the Republican investigators, say that that's proof of influence peddling by Hunter and James. But that's just your suggestion. You don't actually have any facts to that point. You've got some circumstantial evidence. And the other thing is, of all those names, the one person who didn't profit is there's no evidence that Joe Biden did anything illegally.
Well, if you look at the laptop and the emails between the president's son and his associates, they went to great lengths to hide Joe's involvement. They even gave him nicknames. They called him the Celtic and the big guy. But make no mistake, Joe Biden was involved. All these countries that the Bidens were receiving money from were countries that
I mean, to be honest, like, I haven't really paid attention to this story, and so I don't know that much about it. I'm sure some of the people in the chat watching right now can tell me a little bit more about it. All I know is that it's the same old thing. Hunter Biden did some stuff that he shouldn't have done. Joe Biden knew about it. Everyone's getting rich, blah, 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 blah. I kind of think that nothing is going to come of it, just like nothing ever comes of this stuff. Has there ever in the history of like your lifetime that you have been watching politics? I really should follow my own rule and be a little bit more chill right now. But like, has there ever been a corruption scandal in the history of your life watching politics where anything happened to any of these people? Nothing is going to come of this. It is a giant sideshow. It is a distraction. It is distracting from things that are like way more important. No one's going to jail. No one's going to get impeached over it. Nothing will ever come of this. So I don't even know why we're bothering. So maybe I'm on Sam Seder's side on this, not because we agree on it, because I'm positive that corruption did happen, just because I don't care. Have a good one, Vince. Thanks for dropping by.
Joe Biden was actively visiting in. Many of these countries were receiving foreign aid that Joe Biden volunteered with the Obama administration to be in charge of. We look now at the Biden presidency. Many of the decisions he's made with respect to China that I would argue put China first and America last.
If you want to impeach Joe Biden, do it over his handling of Afghanistan. I don't know why this is so hard. Joe Biden should have already been impeached by now. I want a good impeachment trial. I know he's not going to get removed. That's not the point. If we're going to have a circus, can we please at least have an impeachment trial? If we're going to have a clown car, do nothing circus, no matter what happens, can we at least have an impeachment trial? They impeached Trump twice. They impeached Trump after he left office when quite literally nothing would have happened. I want a meaningful circus.
Most Americans scratching their head. Why would any president do this? So we know that the complexity of the way the Bidens set these shell companies up were made to try to disguise not only the money they were receiving, but also Joe's involvement. So we're at the very beginning stages of this. But in talking with the informants that we have, some of the former Biden associates that nobody's heard from yet, we know that Joe Biden was actively involved, and we're still looking for more bank records that we believe will implicate Joe Biden's active participation in this at the end of the day.
He set up 20 different.
I mean, not quite the bombshell that he thought that it would produce. Certainly, if Joe Biden is getting kickbacks from other countries, we should hear about this. And frankly, I am totally in favor of some type of legislation involving nepotism and people trading off of the names of their famous parents or their powerful parents, like their father-in-laws, let's say, or their fathers. I think that would be a very good thing. I'm not sure how you would structure that, but I am all in favor of, and also probably would help to have that 95% tax if they're getting millions. Here is Ron Johnson with the same dilemma that his friend in the House of Representatives, James Comer, has, which is you gotta sort of use your imagination for some of the big parts of this.
Listen, it's very similar to the $4 million that Hunter Biden got out of Burisma, out of Ukraine. It's the same fact pattern, the same type of pattern. And let's face it, the bank records aren't going to show bribe in exchange for this foreign policy change. But we know that President Biden lied to America when he said he never discussed Hunter's overseas business deals. We know he lied when he said that Hunter never made money off of China. Hunter made millions of dollars off of China. So we know that Biden has lied repeatedly to the American public on this very issue. These things look sleazy. There's all kinds of conflict of interest. We're going to have to infer an awful lot, and we're going to need more bank records.
Let's take a listen to Vice.
We're going.
You fucking moron. Why would he say we have to infer a lot? Republicans just get stupider and stupider by the day. I swear to God.
Going to have to infer a lot.
Meanwhile, all the Supreme Court justices are getting caught with like giant transactions, like basically that much. Like,
but we will have to infer an awful lot about whether Biden is in bed with China.
What a waste of time.
It's amazing, and I like how they sort of just throw in 2017 into there. All these payments are from 2015 to 2017. They really missed the boat with Hunter Biden.
Seriously.
I mean, maybe you might want to do those payments like in 2008 at the beginning of the Biden administration, or I should say the Obama administration, where Joe Biden supposedly had all these abilities to change the
or
policies.
Maybe in fact it was more valuable to Hunter after, because his dad had the prestige to go peddle his name.
Exactly. I mean, let's be clear. That's what's going on here. I don't know that Hunter Biden was qualified to do anything other than
nothing.
Walk into a room and go, "That's Joe Biden's son."
See, we agree on that. We agree on so much.
Imply, like, I mean, we see this all the time.
Look at
we
that.
We see this
even the lefties think that Hunter Biden is incompetent and corrupt. Isn't that funny? Did you expect to hear that on a far left progressive show? I didn't.
The time. Daughters, sons of famous politicians get jobs on television or become, lobbyists. I'm sure Hunter Biden had exposure to a lot of people he had relationships with, and can walk in and show that he has this big Rolodex. And yes, is that corrupt? Yes, I think it is. But I think we see it all over Washington, D.C., including, I'm sure, with James Comer's kids.
Yeah, it's politics as usual.
I am all in favor of the statutes that say you cannot trade on your family's name. Sorry, Saul and Mila. You won't be able to go out and milk this for everything that you can.
House Republicans going after Mila Cedar's Depop account.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. He's selling all these Depop clothing because... Also, for that matter, Matthew Film Guy. We'll talk to him about his
corruption.
This is not funny. I don't know why someone's laughing. This is really not. This
folks,
is like this is just as unfunny as Chrissy Mayer. Is this what all political like radio show hosts are like? I don't listen to this stuff, so I truly like I haven't listened to this stuff in like a long time, so I truly have no idea. Like, are they Chrissy Mayer sucks this badly? She's not funny. Sam Seder is not funny anymore. I'm trying to remember if I ever found Sam Seder funny. I really liked him, so I must have found him funny. What happened? I don't know. Maybe it'll get better. We're going to give it a little bit. We'll watch some clips or something of him talking about Tim Pool or something if it doesn't work out. I might just end up switching over to that Tim Pool stream with the surfs. I don't know. We'll see.
We got a couple of words from our sponsors. One of our sponsors, Henson Shaving.
We are not getting words from sponsors. I want to hear you talk about Trump, Sam. I want to hear you talk about Trump, bro. Okay, what's this about?
That up for next time, maybe.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Oh, okay, they're gonna talk about Trump. Okay.
There we go. Heather Parton, Digby. Always a pleasure to have you here. Folks can check out your writing at Salon and, of course, the Uber blog, Hullabaloo. You know, every time we come on lately, it feels like we could talk for 3.5 hours in terms of the stories this week. But we're getting into, I guess, that season. You know, Donald Trump is back. I don't know if he ever left, but he's back. And let's just start with this CNN town hall.
Yeah.
It is supposedly there is a lot of internal strife at CNN about this. Here's Anderson Cooper explaining why we needed to have the town hall that we saw.
Many of you have expressed deep anger and disappointment.
Holy shit. Ryan. Good spot, Ryan. Good spot. Hang on. Let me see if I can. Autumn. Autumn is a mod in Sam Seder's chat. Holy shit. For those of you who don't know, Autumn is a socialist that came and hung out on my channel for Socialism Saturday. And we all had a nice conversation with Autumn, and we thought Autumn was nice. And, you know, we obviously think Autumn is crazy because she's a socialist, so we don't agree with her. But we had a nice enough exchange. And then Autumn went and lied to, was it Midwest Marks or was it Red May? It was either Midwest Marks or Red May. Autumn went and lied about us and said we were going to raid someone's channel when we weren't going to raid someone's channel, because I would never say that. And then I basically called Autumn out, and I called her dishonorable because we had been perfectly nice to her, had a perfectly good relationship. And now we see that Autumn Leaves is a mod in Sam Seder's chat. It was on Midwestern Marks. You guys are probably right. Wow. Autumn, we see you.
Many of you are upset that someone who attempted to destroy our democracy was invited to sit on a stage in front of a crowd of Republican voters to answer questions, and predictably continued to spew lie after lie after lie.
Autumn,
and
if you're watching,
I get it.
Tell Sam he's not funny anymore.
It was disturbing to see and hear that person refer to a black law enforcement officer as a thug, an adjective he used many times to describe black men, and call Caitlin Collins, the moderator, nasty, which is what he calls any woman who stands up to him. It was disturbing to hear him speak so highly of QAnon conspirators and insurrectionists who assaulted police officers in our democracy on January 6th. And it was awful to hear him spread ridiculous lies about the election. And it was certainly disturbing to hear that audience, young and old, our fellow citizens, people who love their kids and go to church, laugh and applaud his lies and his continued defamation of a woman who, according to a jury of his peers, he sexually abused and defamed. As good a job as Caitlin Collins did trying to fact check him, it is impossible to fact check fully because he lies so shamelessly. Now, many of you think CNN shouldn't have given him any platform to speak, and I understand the anger about that, giving him the audience, the time, I get that. But this is what I also get. The man you were so disturbed to see and hear from last night, that man is the front runner for the Republican nomination for president.
Yes, he is.
And according to polling, no other Republican is even close. That man you were so upset to hear from last night, he may be president of the United States in less than 2 years.
God, wouldn't that be
And that audience that upset you, that's a sampling of about half the country. They are your family members, your neighbors, and they are voting. And many said they're voting for him. Now, maybe you haven't been paying attention to him since he left office. Maybe you've been enjoying not hearing from him, thinking it can't happen again. Some investigation is going to stop him. Well, it hasn't so far. So if last night showed anything, it showed it can happen again. It is happening again. He hasn't changed, and he is running hard. You have every right to be outraged today.
Anderson Cooper. Oh my God. Anderson Cooper needs to. Anderson, we need to have a talk, Anderson. You need to get laid, Anderson. You really do. I don't know what's going on with the home life, Anderson. To be quite honest, I actually don't really care. You just really need to get laid, Anderson. This is too much. This is ridiculous. Yes, he obviously has TDS. This is not the end of the world, Anderson. The economy was so much better under Trump. You guys were making more money under Trump. We were all making more money under Trump. Life was good under Trump, except when you guys started having fires and riots and like burning down cities for no good reason just because you were bored. Just because he's gay doesn't mean he can't get laid. Gay men can get laid too, all right? I'm just saying, Anderson, you're going to feel a lot better if you just and if you need to find some big daddy Trump guy to like work out your feelings and work out your aggressions, none of us are going to judge, Anderson. I promise you, everyone's going to be happier.
Angry, never watch this network again. But do you think staying in your silo and only listening to people you agree with is going to make that person go away?
This is there's a lot of like bait and switch going on in this, it seems to me. But Heather, give me your take on what was wrong with it. Why do you, let me ask you it this way. Why do you want to stay in your silo and not hear from anybody else?
Well, I don't actually think that's true, that I want to stay in my silo, nor do I stay in my silo. And I don't think that the people who are objecting to that event are staying in their silo. That's just a straw man. And, you know, they're putting that out there as a way of sort of shaming us into thinking, well, you know, we don't want to hear from Donald Trump. We all, you know, we know what Donald Trump is, and they know what Donald Trump is.
What do you think?
Now, let me just take one piece of what he just said. He said he's the front.
What do you think Donald Trump is? Is Trump around you right now? Is he in the room with you? What do you think he is?
Front runner, and whether you like it or not. Well, you know, there was a time when Herman Cain was the front runner, when Ben Carson was the front runner.
There was never a time when Herman Cain and Ben Carson were the front
town
runner.
Halls with any of those guys. So that's not a reasonable excuse. Now, it is true he's the front runner and he's probably going to be the nominee.
Yep.
But it's May of 2023. It's not May of 2024. What they basically did was offer him a kickoff rally on national TV for his presidential campaign. And by the way, they know that's what they were doing.
Newsmax
and they
has higher
absolutely
ratings.
understood that this was a big ratings grab.
Right now, Newsmax has higher ratings than CNN right now. If Trump wanted a national rally that would get him more exposure, he would have just gone on Newsmax. Let's not pretend that CNN is watched by like every single household. Bert says, Carlin, I'd like to donate some yarn. Thank you, Bert. I appreciate that. Can we make that happen? Yes, you can, Bert. What I need you to do is send me an email to activelyunwoke@gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. And this is a general email, guys. If you want to send me information or news or whistleblower documents or like woke stuff at your kid's school, you can always send it to me at activelyunwoke@gmail.com. It comes right to me. I see it. And if you want to get in touch, Bert, and talk about donating some yarn, I would love that. And you would be my best friend. And I really appreciate it.
Grabber, and when you see the comments that Chris Lick, the new CEO, said the next day, we made news, and, I don't know, cable networks aren't supposed to make news. They're just supposed to report news. And the fact that this was an event designed to kind of put CNN at the middle of the story says everything about what they were doing. Now, we all know what Donald Trump is. There is some value, I suppose, maybe in showing Donald Trump to people who may have, as Cooper says, forgotten what he was like. There probably are people who've just tuned him out and said, I don't ever want to see that guy again. And maybe they need to see him, but they didn't need to see him in that particular format.
Right.
That format is absolutely conducive to Donald Trump, which was demonstrated. We know what he is. He's a pathological liar. It was a tsunami of lies, just one right after the other. Obfuscation,
what did he lie
dissembling,
about?
whatever you want to call it. It was just nothing but typical Donald Trump bullshit. And everybody knew that was what it was going to be. And Caitlin Collins obviously had spent a tremendous amount of time preparing with these answers, with these challenges that she was going to throw at him as he was spewing that tsunami of lies. And they had to have known that was not going to work, because it never has worked and it never will work. And then they went beyond that, and they stacked the audience with Trump cultists, apparently, who they also knew were going to provide.
Also known as Republicans and independents in the state of New Hampshire, where Trump lost in 2020. Trump lost New Hampshire. I don't even remember her name. Digby, whatever. Trump lost New Hampshire in 2020. There are not, let me tell you what. Are there some Trump cultists in New Hampshire? Yes, there are. And most of them I would recognize if I saw them, because I was hanging around the political scene for a couple of years. And I didn't recognize barely anyone in that audience except for Karen Testerman, who did not ask a question. Yes, it was a Republican town hall. For Republican voters, what do you guys want? Did you want them to hand select voters from New Hampshire who were Republicans but totally committed to not voting for Donald Trump? Like, what was your expectation for a Republican town hall exactly?
The laugh track, basically, for this television show that they were putting on, this entertainment spectacle. They knew they would elicit no real information, although we gleaned a few nuggets from what he said, some of the things maybe some people hadn't heard before. But the fact is that when you put Donald Trump on live in a situation like that with an audience of handpicked, there were a lot of his own operatives in the audience there, apparently, that, you have this handpicked, Donald Trump cult, and you put him on live, you might as well be covering a rally. I don't care. You can call it a town hall. You can call it whatever. It was a Trump rally. And that elicits no useful information whatsoever in a live format.
That was absolutely not a Trump rally. I have been to several Trump rallies that bore no resemblance to a Trump rally.
In a taped format, you might have been able to go back and put together, the challenges in the moment, provide context, do a lot of things that would be useful to viewers. But that particular format is absolutely deadly. And Donald Trump knows it. And that's why he wanted it. And that's why they're celebrating today. They're putting out T-shirts that say TNN, Trump News Network, with his picture on.
I fucking wish I had thought of making a T-shirt that said TNN. Who is selling those? Oh my God, what a great idea.
On it, seriously. So great, good work, CNN. That really worked out for you. That's really good.
I think it probably did work out for CNN. I mean, they're just looking for the ratings bump. I mean, but putting that aside, I think that's exactly the point. And you can tell, in the way that Anderson Cooper, like your point being that this was a format problem, and it's one thing to cover a Trump rally, it's another to give it the veneer of there being conflict, the veneer of there being like some type of questioning. And apparently, like Josh Marshall pointed out in Tara Palmieri's Puck newsletter, that not quite sure who she was interviewing, but they did some warm up with the audience ahead of time. One of the questions were, are there any conditions? And Caitlin said, no, there are no conditions. Someone asked if Trump knew the questions ahead of time. She said he didn't. And I think a lot of people were prepared to ask questions. The floor manager came out ahead of time and said, please do not boo. Please be respectful. You were allowed to applaud. I think they set this tone where they were going to try their best to keep this between the navigate. In other words, this was a setup to be a rally, but with the veneer of there actually being.
Telling people not to boo implies you think that they might boo, Sam. Telling people that it's okay to applaud is not the same as a rally. Again, you have never actually been to a Trump rally. That is ragingly obvious.
An interview. And I think, look, there is no problem in my mind with CNN having him on and interviewing him in the way that they would a candidate. But this was crazy. And he said, there's many of you who wouldn't want him on any platform. Well, the fact of the matter is that it does make a difference how you platform this guy. Then, yeah, of course, he is probably going to be the Republican nominee. So you ask him questions, you don't give him the opportunity to do like even rallies are staged events. This is even more staged because it appears to be something else.
Exactly. It was like, it's like a pageant that they were putting on. Let's have it's like
they literally think that CNN coordinated with Trump to put on the best possible event to boost Trump. Do they think that CNN did this purposefully, or are they saying that like CNN was so stupid that they walked right into a trap? Essentially, they could be saying a combination of those two things. I don't know, man. I think that this worked out great for all involved. I think that we should just be honest about the situation and say that everyone in the progressive left would be in a much better place financially if Trump were in office. That's just a verifiable fact. Sam Seder would be doing better with Trump in office. CNN would be doing better with Trump in office. Everyone would be doing better with Trump in office. So can we all just acknowledge that it might actually, whether or not CNN purposefully made Trump look really good and kind of like lobbed him a softball, or whether CNN was so stupid and incompetent that they walked right into a trap, it honestly doesn't really matter, because the end result should be that all of our lives should be better under Trump anyway. And so maybe CNN really did say, you know what? Let's make Trump look really good. Let's rally people for Trump. Let's do an underhanded thing. And totally, I mean, they did promote Caitlin Collins to be their 9 p.m. primetime host. Maybe they're gearing up to just lob softball after softball after softball to Trump because they know it's exactly what they need to do in order to make money. Would anyone put that past CNN? Honestly, in the chat? Like, would CNN is losing ratings to Newsmax right now. Do we think it's out of the realm of possibility that CNN is like, we're going to coordinate. Maybe we have an unofficial and uneasy truce, Trump, because our life is better with you in office. Your life is better. Like, everyone wants Trump back in office. So why don't we just embarrass our own hosts and throw our own viewership under the bus over and over and over again for 2 years? Why don't we schedule a whole string of these, Trump? I mean, that would be kind of amazing and honestly impressive. I don't know that I believe everything I just said. I'm just saying that it is not out of the realm of possibility.
A setup for a reality TV show, which of course is his milieu. And, that is actually it's incredibly important that people know what Donald Trump is saying. I don't deny that. And I'm not a person who says, don't ever talk about him or retweet him. All he wants is attention. Well, we can't help it. I mean, Andrew Cooper's, right to the extent that these, the Republican Party still seems to love this guy, and he is probably going to be the nominee, and you have to hear from him. But he is sui generis. This is not a normal candidate. Even if you put Ron DeSantis or some other right-wing freak in that situation, it would be different than it is with Donald Trump. And it's because of the massive amount of lying and the absolute, overwhelming, epic amount of scandals that this guy is dealing with and has dealt with throughout his and bizarre ideas and ignorance that he spews. He is different than other candidates. And I thought they had learned this. I wrote this in my piece in Salon today. During the Trump years, I mean, we watched this happen in 2016. It's basically a rerun of 2016, the same stuff, except Trump has more power now than he did then. And, we watched them, oh, look, he became president today, and we went through all that. But over time, the mainstream media made an adjustment, and they learned how to call it. They started saying it was lies. They called it the big lie, which, by the way, CNN prohibits them from saying now. They can't call it the big lie anymore.
Really?
But,
I didn't know
they
that.
had
Is that
learned
true?
how to cover Donald Trump in an objective way, and by a neutral way, if that's what you want. The only way that you can cover him is by covering the fact that he is batshit insane, and so is his party. That is the reality that we're dealing with. You cannot sit there and say that, well, he's just, it's just one side, both sides, or he said, she said, or whatever. You can't, because we know what he is. I mean, this is a guy who told people to drink bleach during a pandemic. I mean, this is not someone who is normal, and they knew that. I mean, they absolutely had come to some kind of reckoning with that particular fact. And by the end of the Trump years, and if you look at the post-election period and January 6th and the rest, the mainstream media did a reasonably good job. I'm not trying to extol them as being great in every way, but in this particular way, they had learned something. Here we are, we're back at square one, where should we put Donald Trump on unfiltered for hours on end? Should we just let him?
But she actually believes these people. I totally forgot about the bleach lie. Does everyone remember this? When progressive media started running with the story that Donald Trump told people to drink bleach, which never effing happened. They still believe it. Beth, thank you for the super chat. Hey, Carlin, I'm watching your tirade video on conservatives. Damn it, I hate that you're right. We have to suck it up and take some freaking responsibility. I hope more people watch that video, and I hope more people accept the tough love in that video. And I provided receipts to back up everything I said, guys. I'm doing it for your own good, Beth. You need to hear these things. You guys need to rally your own side. I can't change conservatives. I tried. It doesn't work. They go, you're a leftist and you have stupid hair and you're fat. But they listen to their own. They're never going to listen to me, but they might listen to you. So I appreciate it, Beth. Thank you so much.
Do that and just sort of spew his nonsense all over the place. And that is, and we haven't talked about this, but it's a hugely important part of the story. There's a reason that this is happening at CNN. And the reason it's happening is because they had a corporate takeover by a guy, the major shareholder of the new corporate structure, the board of directors, is a guy named John Malone, who's a pay TV pioneer. And he is a right-wing fanatic. He gives Rupert Murdoch a run for his money.
Really?
And by the way, at one point, he owned so much, News Corp stock that Rupert was afraid Malone was going to take it over, and ended up kind of squeezing him out on some kind of a corporate power play. Malone is Rupert Murdoch. He has been out there saying, you know what I really like? I want CNN to be more like Fox News, which does more of a news thing, and then they have equally balanced opinions at another point. I mean, he said this, not verbatim, but that's what he said.
Well, I mean, Fox News is significantly more effective and profitable than CNN is. So you would imagine that the owner of CNN would want CNN to be a little bit more like Fox News. That just makes good sense.
And you know, his flunkies, including Chris Lick, the CEO, are following the edicts of a Rupert Murdoch of CNN. That's basically what's happening. So this was definitely on Wednesday night a play for disaffected Fox viewers, a play for ratings. And, you know, this is what, I find it astonishing because look at what it did to Fox News. It just cost them $787.
Hang on. She just said something really interesting. She just said that this is a play, this Trump CNN town hall was a play for disaffected Fox viewers. Would that be the worst decision could it be? And again, okay, this is late night stream, guys, so we might do some hypothesizing, we might do some pontificating. Is it possible that with Fox News making the colossal fuck up of firing Tucker Carlson, that CNN has spotted an opportunity to say, we can be profitable again? There are now all of these Trump people that hate Fox News that need somewhere to go in the evening time. Can we start just lobbing Trump softballs and slow walking Trump and making sure Trump is on our show every day? And maybe we're setting up Trump to have some good moments, to have some good interviews. Maybe we set up Trump to own our own hosts, to like dunk on our hosts. I said it. I have a clip on this channel where I said CNN set Caitlin Collins up to be dunked on by Trump for over an hour. They set her up. They had to know that Caitlin Collins was going to be dunked on by Trump over and over and over again. And now, right after Tucker Carlson gets fired from Fox News, Caitlin Collins all of a sudden gets installed in a primetime slot in CNN. Is it possible that CNN really is going to allow Trump to dunk on their network over and over and over again in order to attract those disaffected Fox voters who are now looking for their entertainment somewhere else? And if they start to figure out that, holy shit, Trump is dunking on CNN like every other night, you know, every right winger in America is going to be like glued to their TV going, what's going on CNN tonight? Who's Trump dunking on tonight? What's going on? They would eat this shit up. That town hall was like the best ratings that CNN has had in like God knows how long. Am I talking crazy here, or is this actually like a possibility? It would quite frankly be one of the smartest business decisions that CNN has probably made in years. Again, I'm not saying I believe it. I'm just saying, is it possible that this is what happened? Is there any evidence to disprove it? Maybe we should, let's check our confirmation bias here. Is there any evidence that would directly disprove the theory that I just laid out? That's what you should always do in research, by the way. If you have a hypothesis of like, I think X, Y, B, and Z happened, don't look for research that confirms it. That only feeds your own confirmation bias. You want to look for evidence that contradicts it. So someone bring me a piece of evidence that contradicts the theory I just laid out. Honestly, let's pressure test it. Why not?
$1 million just a couple of weeks ago, because they were so enamored of this Fox News, you know, audience that they had created. The monster, you know, that they had Monster had taken over the network, that the monster they created, that they ended up having to pay out a huge sum of money and are suffering anyway because of it. They're still losing people. So this is a very, very, you know, we're seeing this right-wing takeover of another part of, you know, our media landscape. And it's depressing as hell because, you know, that's the last thing we need. I mean, I don't know how many networks these people need, but they've got Fox, they've got Newsmax, they've got OAN, and now they're gunning for CNN.
You need?
I guess, you know, what else? You know, I guess MSNBC will be the lone island out there.
Yes, MSNBC is the only liberal network that exists on television. That's it. That is the MSNBC is the only bastion of liberal sanity that remains. Okay.
Isn't a far right network. I guess
right. I mean, it's just full of Republican operatives during almost like 3/4 of the day. But putting that aside for a moment,
right.
They seem to think that CNN is filled with Republican operatives. I come back like, why do they think that CNN is filled with Republican operatives? I don't understand. That's just not hinged into reality.
There's two different things that seem to be going on here in terms of like the coverage of Trump and just the coverage in general that we're seeing. One is that we have this real like sort of ideological push, or I should say conservative ideology push. You know, we've always had, I think, a very sort of corporate friendly ideology that has permeated all of the cable networks at all times. You've got this thing with Malone, and you know, from New York, we know him from back like I think he was like MSG, like he was into cable back in New York for a long time.
Years and years ago, yeah.
And we have this thing, you know, with Twitter and Elon Musk, and now maybe Carlson. We can talk about that in a moment. But there's also, I mean, and you and I were talking about this during the Trump years. Like, are they going to revert to the mean? And on some level, they are. And even like you can see it in the context of the debt ceiling thing. Like, we, you know, I want to continue to talk about that. We're going to move to the debt ceiling in a bit too. But you see the way that the debt ceiling is being reported. I listened to AP News in the morning, and I knew there was something good. You know, like when they start to talk about the debt ceiling on AP in the way that they talk about it, I knew where we were headed here. And I think we're on the verge of like watching Joe Biden cave in some fashion. I don't know how material the cuts are going to be, but it just simply feeds the beast, as it were, the Republicans using the debt ceiling as they've done in the past. And, you know, they're going to claw back COVID relief funds. There's probably going to be some cuts to some discretionary spending. We'll see. But I have a feeling that's where we're headed. But if you look at the coverage, we're back where we were, you know, 10 years ago, which is how, you know, we have a debt ceiling crisis. We don't have a debt ceiling crisis. We have one party that is trying to stand in the way of just doing their job. There's multiple avenues for the administration to do this. Lawrence Tribe, a hero of the resistance, came out, a famous constitutional lawyer, and said the 14th Amendment, you have no problems. There's not going to be any litigation even. You have the ability to do this. Yellen apparently thinks there's a court problem. He can have it out with the, you know, one of the most famous constitutional, professors in the country. But the point is, the reporting on this is completely skewed, and it was always my contention, particularly frankly when I got fired for a brief period of time because of a satirical tweet that Mike Cernovich had drug up and got Donald Trump Jr. to retweet. My contention is that the reason why the press did not have the ability to deal with the lies of Trump, and this was back in 2017, so he'd only been in office for 11 months at that point. The reason why the press doesn't have the ability to deal with Trump, the reason why, you know, an entire news organization couldn't make sense of a tweet that just about everybody fully understood.
I do actually vaguely remember this. I think I was still on the left when this happened. I vaguely remember this. How a joke and Mike Cernovich got Sam Seder booted from MSNBC. In 2009, Sam Seder told a vulgar joke on Twitter that would eventually cost him a job he didn't yet have and make him a target of a movement that didn't yet exist. MSNBC said Monday that it would not renew Sam Seder's contract as a contributor. I remember Sam Seder being on MSNBC. I used to watch him on MSNBC. A move that came days after a far-right activist dredged up an 8-year-old tweet and pressured the cable news network to cut ties with him. In the tweet, Seder cracked a subversive joke about the filmmaker Roman Polanski, a director who pleaded guilty to statutory R after being charged with drugging and R-ing a 13-year-old girl. And Sam Seder tweeted, Don't care re Polanski, But I hope if my daughter is ever R'd, it is I'm not reading this tweet. That's Sam. Yo. If that ever happens to my daughter, I hope it is by an older, truly talented man with a great sense of mise-en-scène. Wow. 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 Listen, Sam, I've tweeted some shit. I've tweeted some shit in my day that was meant as satire, that people didn't know how to read, that they didn't know how to interpret, that caused some kerfuffles, all right? That's fucked up, Sam. That's back when I was listening to Sam Seder. Oh my god. That's effed up.
What the point of that tweet was is because when you had I don't know, Republicans for years, when you had Paul Ryan claiming that if you cut taxes, revenues are going to go up, and all of this sort of like just ridiculous. Everybody knew what he was saying was a fraud, but there was such a compulsion to not make an assessment of claims by the Republican Party, that they were just trained to accept lies. They knew that the media knows better how to launder lies than it does to actually call them out.
No doubt about it. And, we're watching this happen with, going back to what we were originally talking about with Donald Trump and the town hall. That's exactly what was happening there, was that lies were being laundered. And, and when you look at what he said in terms of the debt ceiling, I mean, it was radically, it was outrageous what he said in that town hall. I mean, I don't know how much anybody was paying attention. It was such an overwhelming wave of, torrent of lies and weirdness that maybe nobody really heard this. What he said, he told the House Republicans that it was good to default on the debt. He basically said, it's fine. It's going to happen. He kept saying, it's going to happen anyway. Might as well do it. Like, I don't know what that means. It's going to happen anyway.
It means it's going to happen
but,
anyway.
They let that go. I mean, that just went through. Just, go ahead and default. Go ahead and do it. And even to the extent that he said, and I couldn't believe he did it, is she brought up, she goes, well, they raised the debt ceiling while you were president every time. And there was really no resistance. And he said, and you came out and said, and there's a famous quote of him out there saying that you should never use the debt ceiling as a negotiating tool. The debt ceiling is sacred, he said. You can't use it. And she brought that up and told him that. And he said to her, she goes, well, what's the difference now? And he says, well, I'm not president now.
Right.
I mean, that's the kind of snotty 11-year-old boy logic that he uses.
That's an honest answer, isn't
it?
But
what he did was give permission to, and made it in front of the whole country, to the House Freedom Caucus, his people.
Why do you hate
absolutely,
freedom, Dagny?
Hold out and don't do anything. Do not give an inch. And so that, I didn't see the news in the morning with any headlines saying Donald Trump is saying that the country should default. This is a terrible thing. It shouldn't happen and blah, blah, blah. I didn't see anything like that, because that's really not news to them. What's news is Joe Biden needs to, start negotiating. He needs to get off the dime and get in there and start negotiating those cuts, because, that's the only answer is for Joe Biden to negotiate. And, sure enough, I think, you and I are watching this sort of unfold here over the next couple of weeks. I guess this is going to be happening, maybe a month. I don't know when this whole thing.
So here's what I want to do. Sam is boring me, if I'm honest about it. I'm really disappointed. I am. He is very different to me than the last time I watched him. He's barely even effing speaking. I wanted to hear what Sam Seder had to say about Trump's town hall, and I'm getting this blonde woman with crazy glasses, and honestly, I kind of like her glasses, and I want to get a new pair of glasses, and I kind of wanted them to be like that, like a little bit. But like, I'm having to listen to her talk about it. I don't want to listen to her talk about it. I want to know what Sam Seder had to say. That's why I wanted to watch Sam Seder tonight, and I'm just really disappointed, Sam. I'm feeling very low energy. You're not funny. Like, it's I don't even know what your perspective is on this, even though it does sound like we agree on a couple of things. So what I want to do is I want to switch over to Emma. And then if this doesn't work out, we can watch some clips or do something else. I don't know. But let me switch over to Sam's co-host, Emma, because this was the stream that happened directly after, like the day after Trump's town hall. And so Sam, I don't think, was on this stream, but Emma, the co-host, was on this stream. What does he do in the fun half that makes it different? Like, I don't know. I just have no interest to go to the fun half. I just wanted to know what his opinion was. I want to call into Sam. I didn't know he did call-ins. I do want to call into Sam. I don't know what I would say or talk about, but maybe we could arrange that. Anyway, what I want to hear is I want to know what their perspective was on Trump's the Trump CNN town hall disaster. Let's fast forward, get to the actual start. Oh, Emma, there she is. There's gonna be some intro.
2023. My name is Emma Vigeland, in for Sam Seder, and this is the 5-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. On the program today, Corbin Addison, author of Wastelands, the true story.
I don't care about any of this. I just want to hear you talk about the town hall. That's it.
Ending sanctions to
town hall. Come on.
Everybody.
You know what? Just on that data center.
Let's talk about, speaking of personal psychological issues, they were on full display last night with Donald Trump. We're going to spend a good amount of time before we get to our guest here, Corbin Addison, speaking about the unmitigated disaster that was the CNN
the
Trump
most
hall,
amazing night ever of
Trump
all time.
town hall last night. It's it, yeah.
And by the way, if you guys didn't get a chance to see that town hall, I apparently was one of the very few people who live streamed the whole thing. And so I do have a stream of the entire town hall. Now you're going to have to listen to me talking over it because it was a live reaction stream, but I just didn't anticipate that CNN was going to take down the entire stream. And so I know that a lot of people have been watching my stream as a replacement for CNN.
To Trump Hall.
It's Trump Town and Trump Hall. I am the mayor. Excuse me. So here's an ancient history lesson. In 2016, after the network CNN continued to run Trump rallies and his empty podium uninterrupted, waiting with bated breath for the next crazy thing that he was going to say, not covering Bernie Sanders rallies, for example, but covering anything that Trump did, any event that he held.
Really?
With completely breathless.
You think that CNN covered any event that Trump held? That doesn't even make any sense. Trump holds rallies all the time that no one covers. You aren't even allowed to air them on YouTube because if you air them on YouTube, you'll get a strike.
Jeff Zucker, who was the head of CNN at the time, admitted that it was a, quote, mistake to have the coverage constructed in the way that they did.
Yeah, because he wants to get invited to parties.
Right. Well, and in 2016, that's what he had to say to get invited to parties.
Right. No, it's a separate stream,
and
Janet.
They were just allowing him to spew whatever lies he wanted via their network by just airing his rallies without.
Was that presidential?
Exactly. And Zucker's no longer at the network 6-7 years later after he made that statement. Now it's Chris Licht, formerly of the Stephen Colbert CBS show. He is repeating Zucker's mistake so brazenly that it has to be deliberate, frankly. And there's been a lot of talk and rumors about CNN pushing itself towards the right deliberately. Now, I don't think Don Lemon is left wing, but that was what he stated was part.
See, these guys agree with me. These guys agree. I mean, maybe they don't think that CNN's going full on Trump, but they think something's going on, which would be very interesting. I'm just saying.
Part of the reason for his firing. And I do see that there's enough smoke out there from people who've left the network who are more critical of Trump. Harwood, Brian Stelter, who had some interesting intel from the meeting after this town hall, which we'll get to in a bit.
Ooh,
but that this is a deliberate rightward shift for the network, that they're attempting to take a slice of the Fox News pie.
See?
So I'm starting to believe that where there's smoke, there's fire. And this is one of their latest moves in that.
The progressives have the same theory I do about CNN trying to cut off a piece of the Fox News pie, as it were.
Vein. Now, a lot of people at CNN are not happy about this. They were sending out anonymous quotes to the media, to Justin Baragona of the Daily Beast, to the Washington Post media reporters, calling it awful. We're going to get crushed, a disaster. But this is coming from the top, clearly. And we're going to play a bunch of clips from this here.
Oh, good.
But I'll just say, Caitlin Collins, I think, did very poorly. She started off better with the election lies. But, you know, she is a Daily Caller reporter. Bitch. That's how she got her start, ranking the hotness of Syrian refugees for Tucker Carlson's website. That should be instructive, that they're trying to platform a clearly...
They think that Caitlin Collins is pro-Trump because she used to work for the Daily Caller? I mean, maybe Caitlin Collins was in on the scheme to let Trump dunk on them for over an hour. I don't know.
Conservative-leaning reporter in this area.
And she's most likely going to get the primetime evening slot.
Exactly.
Next,
so this is, again, another grooming piece of evidence here.
Grooming, that word has gotten a new connotation now, but they're
like the original version of grooming.
Exactly.
For a plum position.
Yeah, exactly. And you always do it with somebody that you know is on your side, and then you make them look like something semi-respectable.
Exactly, and cable news has done this for a long time. I mean, even
always from the right.
Always from the right. MSNBC people hiring Republicans that are just mildly critical of Trump, and that's all you need. But even that for CNN, they feel that they need to get some of the Trump audience back, and maybe they took a step forward last night because. As much as I have problems with the meteoric rise of Caitlin Collins to this kind of
someone's jealous
position, it's more the format, frankly, that I have a problem with.
Someone's jealous.
You'll see this. The town hall format is like a get-to-know-you humanization format where it's typically done by these outlets
we humanize
in
Trump.
Primaries, meaning the audience is fully whatever the side is, Republican or Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
And you will see that the audience just laughs and cheers on Trump. And that has the effect of portraying to the people watching it that he has popular support behind those lies.
Yeah, and CNN's aware that the audience is part of the product here. And it's not just...
Donald Trump does have popular support behind what he said, at least with the people in that audience, because Donald Trump was hinged into reality when Caitlin Collins was not.
An accident. It's you do this, and it is stated this way. You haven't seated it half with people who are very upset about, say, January 6th, for instance.
Speaking of January 6th, that was part of the discussion last night. Here is the first clip we'll play for you. Trump was asked, this is at the start of the town hall, where Caitlin Collins was a little more aggressive about the election lies. And this is just a part of the many lies that he told last night.
President Trump, thank you for your time here tonight. We got a great crowd here in New Hampshire, a lot of voters with a lot of questions about what your 2024 term would look like, what another Trump term would look like. We'll get to the voters shortly, but your polls show that you are dominating the Republican race right now, but you are also under active federal investigation for trying to overturn the 2020 election results. Your first term ended with a deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not publicly acknowledged the 2020 election results. Why should Americans put you back in the White House?
Because we did fantastically. We got 12 million more votes than we had in, as you know, in 2016. I actually say we did far better in that election. Got the most that anybody's ever gotten.
But not the majority or the Electoral College.
This isn't like in Mario Kart where you run against your previous best time.
They're still relitigating 2020. They're still obsessed with. They're like, no, Trump, no, you didn't do it. Oh, sorry, Sam. I'll turn on subtitles. Apologies. I cannot believe these people are still so obsessed. Like, no, Trump, you didn't win the Electoral College. We beat you, Trump. We fortified that election, Trump. Like, bro, like, it's been a long time, guys. It's been over 2 years. It's been 2.5 effing years. You need to get a life. You need to go outside. You need to think about something that isn't Trump. I promise you, it'll be better this way.
You're running against another opponent, and just because you did better than you did last time, he did much better than the person you ran against last time, because in part, like how
everyone hated you are. Yeah, there was low turnout in 2016 because people did not like Hillary Clinton. There was higher turnout in 2020 because people hated you so much.
I beat my ghost, but
we got 12 million more votes than we had in, as you know, in 2016. I actually say we did far better in that election. Got the most that anybody's ever gotten as a sitting president of the United States. I think that when you look at that result and when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens. A lot of the people, in this audience, and maybe a couple that don't, but most people understand what happened. That was a rigged election, and it's a shame that we had to go through it. It's very bad for our country. All over the world, they looked at it, and they saw exactly what everyone else saw. You look, even if you just look recently with the 51 intelligence agents, that made a 16-point difference. If you look at the FBI, and Twitter, they call it Twitter files, made a big difference.
There we go.
If you look at
Mr. President,
thanks to what
you said there, though, it was not a rigged election. It was not a stolen election. You and your supporters lost more than 60 court cases on the election. It's been nearly 2.5 years. Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go on. If you look at True the Vote, they found millions of votes on camera, on government camera.
I gotta say, I really do have mad respect for Trump for not giving in to them on this, because they want him to admit he lost so badly. And Trump's just like, nope, not gonna do it. Fuck you, not gonna do it, never gonna do it. You can cry and plead and beg all you want. I won. I'm not saying I believe that, YouTube. Obviously, the 2020 election was perfect and Joe Biden was the obvious and clear winner. I'm just saying that that's what Trump is saying, because he is not bending the knee to their bullshit, and he has weathered a massive storm from both sides of this for 2 years, and he just refuses. And even I was like, at some point, like during last year, I was kind of like, Trump, can we just fucking let it go? Really? Can we just move on? I'm so sick of hearing about it. Can we just stop talking about the election? And I didn't understand why Trump was just like sticking to his guns on it, and now I really understand, because CNN and the entire left need him to admit he was wrong so badly, and I never want him to do it. I never want Trump to give in. I want Trump to go to his grave not saying anything other than, I won in 2020, nanny, nanny, boo, boo, you can't make me. Like, that would be the greatest thing that's ever happened, and I am living for it.
Where they were stuffing ballot boxes. So with all of that, I think it's a shame that what happened. I think it's a very sad thing for our country. I think it's a very sad thing, frankly, for the world, because if you look at what's gone to our country has gone to hell. Our borders are bad. Our military has been bad.
Great job by Collins.
You look at the taxes, you look at inflation, what's happened to inflation. It's just destroying our country.
Beth, thank you for the super chat, Beth. Beth says, Do y'all remember there were thousands of hours of live video from attendees that were on Facebook and YouTube till they took them down a little over a week later and wouldn't allow them to be shared? Hardly anyone mentions it. Of January 6th, oh, I still have footage from January 6th that I haven't shared. And it's just like nothing happened in it that was really eventful. It's just like stuff I took on my cell phone when I was at the Capitol. But yeah, like they took down, I had photos on my Instagram that didn't even show the Capitol, that were like, I took them on the Capitol lawn facing the Washington Monument just to show the depth of the crowd. There was no rioting in it. There was no breaking of windows. There was no nothing. There was no tear gas or any of that. It was just literally of the giant crowd leading down to the Washington Monument. They took that off Instagram. Crazy. Thank you for the super chat, Beth. I appreciate it. Well, this is a good question, Janet. Now that Tucker has left Fox News, did he get any of that footage? Will Kevin McCarthy still give Tucker Carlson the footage? Let's just air it on Twitter. Why don't you air the January 6th footage on Twitter? What's preventing that from happening?
All right, so that was really how that's literally the beginning of it.
And just to give you some context, guys, on True the Vote,
I was about to say that.
The voter integrity organization, where two of their leaders of that organization were literally put in jail by a federal judge for acting in contempt of court, like in October of last year. So even bringing up True the Vote,
and they just hired
the underpinning of his evidence should tell you something right out the gate.
And they just hired a QAnon influencer to do their radio show for True the Vote. So, like, I mean, this is the kind of waters that we're swimming in here.
Who?
He goes on to like lie about how he tried to get the National Guard on January 6th. There's more where he talks about how it's a beautiful day. But like that original part, the election was really the only part where she even had some meaningful pushback, and then it began to dissolve from there.
That's such a dangerous piece of propaganda there, because all you had, I didn't see much from Collins there at all. The biggest reaction to what Trump was saying was from the audience.
Yes.
And it was affirming what he said,
saying that you do have to be stupid to not believe that the election was rigged,
which is just
Ryan, what did Autumn say in the chat? Autumn Leaves are socialists that came over to maybe Autumn will show up tomorrow for Socialism Saturday. Ryan says Autumn said I would piss on the Constitution and use it as toilet paper. Autumn, that's not very nice. And we can say Autumn here is saying I hate America. Never trust socialists, guys. Socialists. There it is right there. What Ryan saw. Good catch. I really do hope Autumn comes back tomorrow so that we can tell her to fuck off. And that we saw her modding Sam Seder's chat and we're not happy about it. I should call into Sam Seder's show just to talk about Autumn. That would actually be hilarious. It would only be hilarious to us, but it would be hilarious nonetheless.
Malpractice by Collins and CNN to let that go out.
Well, I mean, and I'll also say that what her focus seemed to be was to pin him down on specific policy proposal that he wants to do, as opposed to in real time, like calling him out on his lies. But at the same time, part of me wants to say we need to have a conversation about not just fact checking, because I think there's a lot of hubris that the media assigns to their role in fact checking. It's about platforming more than anything, and what you choose to focus. It's not the nature of focus on or highlight. It's not the nature of what even you say sometimes in those instances, especially with a serial liar like this guy who has a cult following. It is the act of putting on this program, but they knew that. They knew they would get big ratings here.
The thing is, like, it's the program, and
that's their job. Their job is to get ratings. Their job is to produce content that people want to watch. And people want to watch Trump, whether you guys like it or not. And you secretly love it, because you would have nothing to complain about for an hour if people weren't platforming Trump.
And it's like, this would have been, I think, worthwhile television if Collins was prepared to stay on that point for the entirety of the thing, if Trump wouldn't relent on that and actually be a journalist and stand up for the truth on the matter, rather than just let him filibuster. And like, But instead they have business to get to. We need to talk about all this other stuff. We need to talk to Trump about. We got all these other subjects in the clips.
And later on, about the election stuff, he literally says to her, like, I actually don't think you're too smart to actually believe that the election wasn't rigged. But you have an agenda because you work for CNN.
Right.
So it's like all of it comes back to being like, even if you're saying it, you're a liar. I'm not lying, and you're either an idiot or a mark if you are saying what is actually true.
Well, part of what they also wanted to get to, again, at the expense of actually like nailing him on something, is the fact that just days ago he was found liable in a sexual abuse and defamation case.
Oh my word! Clutch those pearls.
Honestly, the way Egan Carroll's lawyer should bring a second defamation case in this instance, because just within days, this is what Trump is saying about her. And good job, CNN, putting a sexual abuse victim on display here for jeers from a right-wing base.
Usually you leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African-American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things. But with her, they could put in anything. Access, Hollywood.
This is a jury of 9 people who found you liable of sexual abuse. Do you think that will deter women from voting?
I just cannot get over the absolute disdain that both Trump and the entire audience has for CNN. Like, what CNN and what the Majority Report do not understand is that, listen, Republicans in New Hampshire are weird. A lot of them really don't like Trump. They don't like Trump at all. But they hate CNN far more than they hate Trump. And so it's like an uneasy truce between, for those who don't know, I live literally 2 miles away from where this debate took place. I live in New Hampshire. And so, I understand these people. They may not like Trump, but they loathe CNN. And so Trump and that audience had an uneasy truth where there was a common enemy, and it was Caitlin Collins and CNN. And so the absolute disdain that Trump shows CNN and the entire audience showed CNN is just beautiful. It was beautiful. It was everything.
For you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready?
Ready.
I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door.
He doesn't do his own shopping.
She was about 60 years old. And this is 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her. She was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry. And a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register.
They're laughing.
Then she found out there were locks on the door.
Because
so she
it's
said,
hilarious.
I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes,
This is
you're
disgusting.
playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
Mr. President, can I?
I mean, the laughter in the audience as he victim blames. What kind of woman does this? I don't know, Donald. All the women that you probably banged.
Great husband.
I mean, literally anybody, dude. This is classic misogyny. I mean, really deeply embedded stuff where these men want to be as sexually promiscuous as they want. But if a woman decides that she wants to engage with him, well, she's a slut. And what kind of woman does?
Well, if she willingly engaged with him, then what was the problem? If if she just decided to willingly engage with him and that's what everyone's so upset about, then what is the problem and why did Trump get convicted of anything? Because two adults are allowed to consent and go into whatever dressing room they want and do whatever they want. The store might not approve. But what's the problem?
Does that. And in this instance, she was not consenting. She was not consenting in this instance.
Does anyone in their right mind really think that Trump dragged a random woman that was of a certain age into a dressing room because he just couldn't restrain himself? I don't think that happened. I think that sounds ridiculous.
There's like a clip floating around of Trump, like in Bergdorf Goodman doing some special for them saying, I come here all the time. Like, it doesn't matter. Just running through these lies here. He calls E. Jean Carroll a whack job later. But again, putting more smears against a victim of sexual abuse on display for the CNN audience. And it just gets worse. Let's do this Roe v. Wade. This was the thing that really bothered me. So I'm like, I'm watching the Knick game in the background, also trying to watch this. I watched a lot of it this morning as well. And this still sticks out to me as the thing that's the most infuriating here, because we're getting into policy implications. And this is Trump speaking about abortion, where he lies specifically about the Democratic position with zero pushback from Caitlin Collins.
All
just
right.
None.
How does he lie? I'll be interested.
The way I look, I think it's very important to say this. I consider the other side to be radical, because the other side under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will.
Yes, they are.
Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? They said, rip the baby out of the womb at the end of the 9th month. They will kill the baby in the 9th month. If you look at that crazy governor of Virginia from the former governor, where he said, no, the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute the baby.
But Mr. President, can we talk about what you would do if
no, but
you
these are the radical people.
Re-elected?
It's not the pro-life people that are radical.
But if you are reelected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
Trump is
what I would do
pro-choice.
is negotiate so that people are happy. But the fact that I was able, I'm so proud of it. We put 3 great justices on the Supreme Court. We have almost 300 federal judges on the Supreme Court.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you would sign a federal abortion ban into law.
I said this. I want to do what's right. And we're looking, and we want to do what's right for everybody.
But what's right?
But now, for the first time, the people that are pro-life have negotiating capability, because you didn't have it before. They could kill the baby in the 9th month or after the baby was born. Now they won't be able to do that.
But I think this is a really important question for you to answer, because this is something every Republican, including those who are running against you for the nomination, are being asked about, is would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
And many of them are going to give you the same answer as I am. First of all, I am honored to have done what I did. And a lot of people said in 150 years, he's now the most consequential president because he saved so many lives. And I'm honored to have done it.
Applause. All right, so that's literally the exact issue I had with the way that she conducted this. I mean, it's not an accident that she was chosen for this. But at the same time, they're trying to put women in these positions to pin him down on things like, rape lawsuits and abortion bans. I don't really care what his policy platform position is on abortion, because it's just going to be what he decides at the moment and what's the most extreme thing that he can get away with while appealing to his right-wing base and getting it through Congress, if he were to be president, God forbid, getting it through the Senate and the House in terms of an abortion ban. There's no question that given the constituencies that are behind Trump, that they would attempt a federal abortion ban when he was in office, because the guy has no principles. It's not about...
And Trump has just said he wouldn't do it. Trump has come out and told the Republicans they need to drop the abortion ban stuff. Trump has been very clear that he would negotiate like a first trimester sort of compromise on abortion, which is the only sensible thing to do. Like, I'm shocked that Trump is pushing this with the Republicans, but he's at least been honest with them, and he's told them that they need to stop with the abortion ban stuff. Trump has basically said that he's using the repeal of Roe v. Wade as leverage in order to get the Democrats to come to the table and negotiate some sort of compromise where you get like a first trimester, like with exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother, sort of like federal abortion bill. And then, like, I mean, I'm sure they'll probably have some carve out for the states or whatever, but that's a reasonable thing. That is a reasonable thing. Right now, both sides are on the extreme end of crazy goddamn town. The left is crazy because they want abortion up until birth. And yes, they do, because I know that, because I went to the Socialist Reproductive Justice Conference a month ago. I know exactly what they're saying. And then the right's like, no abortion for any reason ever. Well, that's not good either. So there has to be a compromise. Trump is absolutely right about that. And what Trump is saying is that, like, he's pro-choice. He's just not pro-insanity, which I think is a really respectable position. I am pro-choice. I am not pro-insanity. I am not pro-abortion doula or bathroom abortion or shouting our abortion or abortion pill or like self-managed abortion tour like I had to go on. I mean, I guess I didn't have to go on it, but that I did go on at the Socialist Conference because the reproductive justice movement is crazy. They're batshit insane. It is a death cult. For those who don't know, and I documented this on my Substack, carlin.substack.com. I've documented it on this YouTube channel. About a month ago, I went and spent the full day at a socialist reproductive justice conference, complete with self-managed abortion tour, in which they encouraged me to get an abortion doula that would sit by the toilet and hold my hand as I have my self-managed abortion and bleed the child into the toilet. And then once I'm done with the self-managed bathroom abortion, I go and worship myself at the abortion shrine. I have pictures of all of this. There was a literal effing abortion shrine in which you worship yourself after you've had your self-managed abortion with your abortion doula in your own apartment, and then you go and worship yourself at this abortion shrine with crystals and candles, and there was even a statue of a fertility goddess. I have all of this. I have photos of all of it. So don't tell me the left hasn't gone off their rocker, because they have. That is a death cult. I am pro-choice. I am not pro-insanity. That is a death cult. You are literally worshiping abortion. That is sick. That is twisted. Now, on the other side, we have pro-lifers, and I don't like them either. I think pro-lifers in many respects are just as bad as the socialist reproductive justice warriors on the other side. They're two sides of the same coin. But if I have to choose between life and worshiping myself on a self-managed abortion shrine, you guys are putting me through to a rock and a hard place, Emma. I don't know what to do with that. So Trump is right. The only reasonable solution is a compromise that you can allow for a first trimester abortion, which should be reasonable enough and will accommodate the vast majority of people. Carve out some exceptions for rape, incest, life of the mother, fine. But can we please just move back into the realm of sanity? On both sides? Am I asking too much? I don't think I am.
Nailing down what he would or wouldn't do, because that's incredibly fungible. It's about the lies, about how doctors and Democrats want to execute babies outside of the womb. 90% of abortions happen before that 12-week period. The rest that happen after that are usually soon after that, or when the life of the mother is in jeopardy and there are medical issues. That's when the 7, 8, 9-month abortion happens. Like, those are very, very narrow situations, and it's because of medical circumstances. And there's just like, that's one of the easiest fact checks that you could use in that. Again, I hate the term fact check, but that's one of the easiest layups for her, and she didn't even do that.
But I also think, like, the other thing that makes this to me almost completely valueless is, like, I think we can get to it for a sec, the Chris Licht being like
Yes, let's put that up.
This is valuable because he's the front runner or whatever. It's like, yeah, but he's a front runner who literally he's what he does is he's a gish scalper in the almost like the highest sense of the term, in that he doesn't let you catch your breath to account for the 500 false things that he said. If you actually wanted to do like a comprehensive fact check or whatever, or annotate his remarks, the entire thing, as Matt said, it would take you all day. There's no value to this being an hour of him going through issues and lying about every single thing that he's saying.
Well, there's value from ratings.
That's what it is. That's fundamentally.
Let's pull that
up. I think like, yeah, you're a major network and you should have like the guy on. But like, there's this Ben Rhodes quote, and we'll get to Stelter here. But Ben Rhodes, former Obama, I believe, foreign policy guy. Yeah. Most of the outlets are reporting on world events from Washington. The average reporter we talk to is 27 years old, and their only reporting experience consists of being around political campaigns. It's a sea change. They literally know nothing. I looked at Caitlin Collins' Wikipedia, try to figure out what.
She's 31.
Why a corporation of CNN's caliber would put someone like her in this position, and there's no like real rationale for that besides just like they'd like having somebody like I don't honestly like. Why? Like, there's nobody in your stable of journalists that can do a better job on this than Collins, because she was not competent here.
No, she wasn't. And I think that the friendly nature of it, the pushback, but within narrow confines, was the point, even though he repeatedly called her nasty. I mean, that's his go-to for any woman.
He did not repeatedly call her nasty. He called her nasty once when she was being nasty. So that's a lie right there, Emma. I'll fact check that. But what did you want Caitlin Collins to do? It wasn't supposed to be a debate between Trump and the CNN moderator. It was supposed to be Trump answering questions. If you don't like the answer to Trump's questions, that's not your effing business. You are not the audience. CNN is not the audience. The audience were New Hampshire effing voters.
Bothers him. But this is what Stelter, who has recently been let go from CNN, as again, part of their clear rightward shift here, says Chris Licht, the new head of CNN, begins CNN's 9 a.m. editorial call by praising Caitlin Collins for her masterful performance last night. He says, quote, "I couldn't be more proud of her and the whole team in New Hampshire." Then he says he's aware of the backlash, more to come. Stelter continues, the quote from Licht here: "You do not have to like the former president's answers, but you can't say that we didn't get them." Licht tells staffers, who cares about the answers?
On the campaign trail too.
Good, you guys got the lies. Incredible. Many of whom are angry about the town hall. The staffers, as I mentioned, have been upset. Caitlin pressed him again and again and made news. Made a lot of news, and that is our job.
Press him, like, be specific. Name a specific time you're proud of.
Yeah, I mean, your job is not to make news. It's about well, again, reporting the news.
Do you not think that the statements of a former president and presidential candidate and probably Republican nominee is news? Don't you think that's a big deal? Don't you think that's something that people have the right to know? Like, what do you want CNN doing? I'm so confused. Do you not want CNN interviewing any politicians ever? Or is it just Trump that CNN isn't allowed to interview?
Now you guys are the news that people are reporting on. While we all may have been uncomfortable hearing people clapping, that was also an important part of the story, Licht adds, because those folks represent, quote, a large swath of America, and the media screwed up by missing that part of the story in 2015, 2016.
Oh, fuck off.
Yeah, I mean,
well, you did.
lauding that kind again, as if Licht has any.
You quite literally did miss that part of the story, which is why people like me, who listened to you guys and trusted you guys to tell us the truth, which is why people like me, back when I was still a Democrat, was shocked and horrified when Trump won in 2016, because you people did miss that part of the story, because you don't understand Trump. You don't understand the political right. You are so Trump deranged and unhinged from reality that there is no possibility that you can even begin to wrap your head around the fact that half of the country agrees with Trump. Half of the country. And part of the reason they agree with Trump is because of your hubris, your elitism, you're not listening to them, you're insulting them, you're calling them racist for no good reason.
idea about the kind of America that he's opining about there. Covering Trump is, quote, tricky and messy, Litz says, and it will, quote, continue to be messy and tricky, but it's our job. He confidently says, America was served very well by what we did last night. Many CNN employees strongly disagree.
And the media is complicit in this too. The Hill, Caitlin, all the headlines, or a lot of them, are supportive of Collins, or make it like Trump snaps at CNN's Caitlin Collins. You're a nasty person. New York Times, Caitlin Collins in a white suit takes on Trump.
Oh yeah, we get it. The callback to Hillary.
But the other
what it was.
But the other stuff of this, all of it, as you say, I mean, Matt, it's all of this it's me. All of it becomes media critique. All of it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. We're promoting Caitlin Collins. Let's put her in this position so she debates Trump, and then we tell everyone on staff. We issue a press release. Caitlin Collins did great. Caitlin Collins did great against Trump. Now she's the 9 p.m. anchor. All of this stuff has one way or another a profit motive and a motive to platform to make CNN the news. To not actually report on anything is to make CNN the center of the story, because nothing else in this business is profitable. There's literally zero other profit element besides making the fucking corporation Trump. The story.
Yeah,
besides
I mean, you're right.
Trump. No,
you're right.
No, it's not about making CNN the story. Good night, Sin. Thank you for dropping by. It's not about making CNN the story. It is about Trump. That is what makes this profitable. Trump, and only Trump.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk to Corbin Addison.
All right. So I have a crazy idea. Let me make sure I can pull this idea off. People who just left are going to be really mad at this idea. Hang on. Let me see if I can find it. Should we? Well, let me do a poll in the audience. Let me do a poll, okay? I'm going to go abide by your results. What should we do? Should we, number one, kind of scroll through Sam Seder's channel and see if there are any interesting clips? So, Sam Seder clips. Or should I change entirely and watch the Timcast episode with Tim Pool and the Surfs, okay? Or should we watch Tim Pool and the Surfs? Now, I want to say this. If we choose Tim Pool and the Surfs, what I'm going to do is shut down this stream that you're currently watching. I'm going to start a new stream with a new thumbnail so that people know what it is. And I'm going to give you a couple minutes to vote on that. And I have a feeling I know what it's going to be. And so I'm going to just start finding a picture right now of Tim Pool and the Surfs. I'm not saying I want that to be that. We can keep watching Sam Seder if you guys want. I'm just suggesting that I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is going to be, because you guys just can't resist me watching Tim Pool. Let's just be honest about it. You can't. You love it. You love it. I just have to make this thumbnail to actually be able to make this happen. So just give me 1 sec. Hang on. But guys, I thank you for hanging out with me for Nitwits. We're going to continue, I think. I just looks like we're going to be on a different stream. And the reason we're going to be on a different stream is I want people to know what they're actually watching, and I think people will be more likely to tune in if the stream actually says what it is. All right. All right, guys, here's what we're going to do. 91% of you want me to watch Tim Pool and the Surfs. So give me 2 seconds. I'm going to start a new stream. I'm going to be right back. Go get a drink. Go hit the bathroom. Come back. Join me in 5. And we'll continue with this night of Nitwits, because it's 1 a.m. And why would I be in bed? Why would I do such a thing? All right, guys. We'll see you soon.